This is me before watching No Way Home. What is gonna happen? Where are we going?
About going movies or not?
Do not take your kids to watch this movie.
I like magic.
What the fuck did we just watch?
Half of the fucking movie is about the Joker.
Huh?
But yeah, it's a decent movie.
This movie honors the animated series that I grew up watching. It honors the Raimi films and the Andrew Garfield films. It's the best one of the MCU. Jesus, I can't speak. It went down to the essence of what it means to be Spider-Man, or at least doesn't mean to be Spider-Man. That's just what it takes to put on the mask. It went down to its raw, and I was worried. I was worried that the whole multiverse element of it was gonna drain down the story of Peter Parker, played by Tom Holland in this movie, and it didn't. The story of Peter Parker, Tom Holland, is in this movie from beginning to end. He has an arc that you believe, you feel for, and you want him to do good. And yet the multiverse stuff is the cherry on top. It's the elements of the history of this character and the legacy of that mask. It's been a few hours since I just got back from watching Spider-Man No Way Home. This is the review. I'm going to do non-spoiler right now and then spoiler later. Non-spoiler, go watch it. I highly recommend it. I dug it. It's my favorite of the MCU Spider-Man movies. It's up there with Into the Spider-Verse and Spider-Man 1 and 2 from the Raimi movies. It's up there. Avoid the trailers if you could, or if you have been able to, good on you. To avoid the trailers, to avoid TV spots, go in blindly, shut off all social medias, go into that theater, auditorium, blindly, and enjoy this ride. And if you're not a fan of Spider-Man, this movie will show you why you should. Check out this character and his stories from all mediums. And if you are, and if you've seen all the films, and if you've read comics and whatnot, you get a little respect, hat tip off to you. That's the non-spoiler that I could do right now. I dug it a lot. I cried. I cheered. It's been a while since I've done that. That's the non-spoiler review. Ronan Chain recommends it. Go watch it immediately. Spoiler reviews. Last chance. Please don't see spoiler reviews. Go watch this film as completely as possible, and then check them out. Matt Murdock, Charlie Cox, Daredevil is in this movie. For the first time ever, Norman Osborn, Otto Octavius interact and address each other, including the Sandman. Andrew Garfield appears in the costume. Tobey Maguire appears in the costume. I screamed so loud like I thought I was at a rock concert. It was beautiful. It was magical. I cried so much. It was beautiful to watch them. And I mean, the Matt Murdock part that hit home to me because I remember the animated series from the 90s. There's an episode or two where Matt Murdock and Peter Parker meet and they team up as Spider-Man and Daredevil respectively. And from what we saw of Hawkeye, from what Kevin Feige has said about Charlie Cox, this was the nail in the coffin. Be like, now it's happening. It's all coming together. Netflix shows are coming together, I hope, immediately. It was brief, but it hit home. As a fan of those 3 seasons of Daredevil, as someone who's met Charlie Cox, that hit home, and I was so happy. And I did not know that. I thought they were gonna hold that off until later shows or later movies down the line. I always assumed that Garfield and Maguire would make it, but the way they appeared was way early into the movie than I thought it was gonna be. And their moments were pure heart and emotional. My favorite scene of the movie is when Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and Tom Holland meet for the first time. And it's at a very distraught moment where we unfortunately lose the great Marissa Tomei as Aunt May. And she tells Peter, with great power comes great responsibility. And Tom Holland's Peter Parker is done with his life. It's their responsibility. It's his whole mess of what, the spell he wants, and nobody wants to know him, know his identity. But Garfield, Maguire, and Holland talk about grief. Maguire goes, I lost Uncle Ben. Garfield goes, I lost Gwen in my hands. and Holland's like, I just lost Aunt May. And it was such a beautiful, beautiful moment, and they were funny together. And I just, as someone who always liked Spider-Man a lot, but it wasn't in my few favorite heroes, that was such a beautiful thing, because I remember seeing Spider-Man 2 in the theaters. I remember seeing Spider-Man 3 in the theaters. And there's a moment when they reference each other's web shooters. They talk about life, talk about being in a relationship. And there's a moment when one of them says, I love you guys. And they're like, thank you. And they team up and they're like, let's go. They put on the mask, all three of them run together, and they swing through the Statue of Liberty, and it's showtime. And I was so happy. I was so happy. And that's all I wanted to say, because the rest you have to experience it. And I promise you, in my opinion, this is still a Peter Parker, Tom Holland film. At the end of the day, it's still that, down to its essence, and it shows why this character resonates and means to a lot of people. It went down to its essence of the character, and still was able to respect the legacy, because this is also a legacy movie. It honors the history of this character, especially after two great actors played him for the past 20 years. That's all I want to tell you. I wish I could tell you more, and I might talk with other friends of mine, but that's all I want to tell you now, because I want you to experience it as fresh and unique as possible in your own way. But that was my review of Spider-Man No Way Home. Go check it out. I highly recommend it. Go see it on the biggest screen if you can. And if you dug this review, subscribe to the channel, grow it out more, like this video, and till next time, your friendly neighborhood YouTuber, Rodent Unchained.